What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Torq Hub YouTube channel. On today's episode, I do some fabrication on my mate Matt's JZX100. So here's Matt's JZX100. It's been on the channel a few times before. Obviously we harp on about it a little bit from time to time. It's got a fairly unique compound turbo system on it, but today it's come in here for what every other person's car ever comes to my shed for, and that's intercooler piping. So Matt's upgraded to a Plazmaman Pro Series intercooler, and it's my task to join the dots. So I should really change the name of the channel when I'm on the channel to Kurt puts Plazmaman and intercooler piping on a car, because that's really all I ever seem to do. But anyway, we'll take a super quick look at the car because I don't want to ramble on too much. It's a pretty cool JZX100. They're, I don't know, I guess you'd say they're a pretty rare car now. It's got some pretty big tyres on the back of it, 28.9 Pro bracket radial. I'm not going to harp on long, guys, but it's got pretty much the whole Motec catalogue at it. Keypad, PDMs, got a couple of PDMs, can expand module, and so forth. But we'll go over to the bench here, have a look at the bits and pieces we got for it, and we'll just get straight into it. Here's my bench of parts that Matt's organised for me. As you can tell by looking in the engine bay of Matt's car, he doesn't do anything by halves. He sort of more does things by doubles, above and beyond. So with the amount of parts we've got on the bench here, or bends really in particular, he's probably bought double the amount of bends I need to do the job twice.
Well, that's what he originally thought, but then he used just about all of it.
So there's definitely not going to be any shortage of bends. We've got plenty there, which is nice, you know. I've got some options there, but we'll take a little closer look at it, and then I just want to get straight into it. This is the box. If your bends come in a box like this with Australian newspaper, or your fabricators using bends that come in a box like this wrapped in newspaper, it might not look the flashiest, but these are the nicest bends you'll get. These mean you have Plazmaman or J&T Australian made stuff. So we've got some donut halves there. We're still waiting on a couple more of those. Obviously the obligatory plasma clamps. We've got 3.5 inch here and 3 inch there. Turbo Smart race port blow-off valve, air temp sensor, another Australian staple in this workshop, speed flow. I've got to weld that male -20 onto the, what is it, a thermostat housing, and we've got a whole host of some other bends that Matt had to source from another supplier that we don't usually use, so hopefully they weld up okay. With all that said, let's get straight into it. So here it is on the lift. Now, as you can see, there's some serious mounting and stuff going on here, and I'll give all that credit to Matt, who owns the car. He's fairly handy with the welder and stuff like that, so he's already mounted the intercooler for me, which is nice. He hasn't painted any of the stuff yet. That'll all get sent off later on, but there is a ton going on this car, and that's probably an understatement. There is just stuff everywhere. So I've got to navigate my way through here where the engine oil cooler is, which shouldn't be too bad. So that side should be fairly straightforward. I might need to do some additional clearancing here maybe. I might try and neaten that up a bit if I can, just because with the bumper on, you really want to get these bends turning as quick as possible, because he's probably going to have to clearance that bumper a little bit to get that piping to have some room. So this side here, we're going to be ditching this. This was just a quick solution that Matt had when he was last driving the car with the previous stock bottom end combo. So we'll probably get that out of the way, so I've got a bit of room there. And there is just miles and miles and miles of 200 series and some 100 series speed flow. But have a look up in here. It's there's a lot going on, so not the most user-friendly, maintenance-friendly combo. But another task I have is, it's got a pretty sweet new PWR radiator that he's optioned with -20 fittings. So all the way up in there, you can see up in there, that's the thermostat housing. I've got to weld a -20 male on that as well, and then Matt will build a hose out of stainless braid, which I'm sure he's going to enjoy. That'll be great fun, I'm sure, won't it, Matt? So there's a bit going on. I've got the fitting, and what else do I have? Not much else, but I've done probably 95% of the fab on this car. So it's a single 4-inch exhaust that I've done this quite a while ago. Single Magnaflow muffler with a 5-inch tip. Once again, not doing anything by halves. So another unique feature of this car that I'll just touch just before I actually get into doing something is we've got a reed case turbo 400 in this deal, which is pretty special. It's got all the fruit on it, trans brake, yada yada yada. So a nice built motor. You can actually, Jeff will put a tile on the screen somewhere and you can check out, we have done a couple other videos on this car before. I think the last one was the engine that's in it now was on a stand, so you can get a closer look at the compound turbo kit if that tickles your fancy. Click the link and have a look at that. But I need to decide which side I want to do first. I reckon I might undo some stuff here and work on the hot side intercooler piping first, and we'll go from there. So here's where we're at so far on the car. Obviously you just watched me weld the plasma clamp on the compressor cover, so that's, I've bolted that back up. I've cut the leg length down a touch on this 3-inch bend and tacked another plasma clamp And I've done the same on this 3.5 inch one off the cooler. I've just trimmed it down basically as short as I can go and tacked the clamp on. And now this is probably the trickiest bit of any bit of cooler piping, is trying to get both planes on level and just getting it to join up. Because the cooler is 3.5 and the outlet on the turbo is 3, we've got this reducer here. Now this is a conical reducer, so it's 3 inches long and goes from 3.5 to 3. So when you're working in tight spaces, you can get these other reducers. Actually, I'll show you guys. So as you can see here, this reducer is a 4 to 3.5. So it's not going to work, but you can get these from J&T and see how much shorter this transition area is here. If you wanted to, you could basically trim it right up to there and right to there, and you're doing a transition from a 1/2 inch bigger and smaller or whatever in a matter of like basically an inch. Whereas this one over here, it's a linear reduction, so you have to basically use the whole length. So there's an extra 2 inches of room that this one needs over one like the J&T one that steps like that. So a consideration, if you know you're going to be tight with your piping, look into one of those other ones that might make it a little bit easier. You won't have to fight for as much room, because you start running out of room pretty quick on some of these jobs. So just a quick little tip there. There are some bits out there for you to make your job easier, but this one should work out all right. I'll just keep cutting and tacking. All right, so I've just welded Plazzy clamp to this reducer here. I ended up trimming this reducer down about 10 or 12 mil, because I don't know if you can really tell on camera, but it's actually really quite thick. And the inside edge on the 3 inch side had probably like a 2 mil lip that would have, you know, it wasn't smooth. So I trimmed it down to the inside, was pretty neat. Gives me an extra 12 millimeters of room as well. So now obviously I'm just going to offer it up here. Basically I'm going to chop this 90-degree 3.5 bend, chop it as far as I can before it starts to bend at the shortest length. I'll tack this on there, and then I'll see what sort of room I have to come out of this to get into this 3 inch. So I've got a couple of options. I try and use a normal mandrel bend if I've got enough room, but if not, I've got a donut there, which is a fairly tight radius on that. So I've got a couple of options and I should be able to make that work. So I'll trim this down, and then the last bend, get that trimmed, and then it's ready for welding. There's a look from the top. Honestly, can't see much, but that's the hot side intercooler piping routed and tacked up. So I'll leave all the welding on this thing until the other side's done. So pretty happy with how that's turned out. What I'll do now is I've already marked the hole in the engine bay for the hole I need to cut, because there's no hole there for that piping. It used to go inside the chassis rail. So, but I'll cut that now, and then I can start swinging pipes over that side, and hopefully it comes together pretty quickly, and then we can start welding out some tube. We're going to do 3.5 from this Bosch drive-by-wire throttle body with our sweet Plazmaman clamp adapter, so I don't have to weld any fittings on there. It's a straight bolt-up proposition. Plasma clamps again, obviously, so it should come together pretty good. I've got a few things to dodge on this side. Got the oil filter there, some lines for the cute little oil cooler we got, and some fittings and stuff through here. So I think we'll be coming just using a normal mandrel bend, cut it as short as we can on the leg length, come through here, and then I'm hoping I can just do one direction change on an angle up that way, which will then hook into the 90 coming off the throttle body. So should only have a couple of joins, put a Plazzy clamp in the middle of that, and it should be pretty clean and should work really nice. So I've rambled on and off. Let's get into it. So I've shortened this one. Still needs a little more. I actually also cut about 8mm out of this as well, just to get it lining up in that hole that I cut a bit nicer. So we're pretty close now to getting ready to join this up. What I'm going to do is I'll probably, once I get this perfectly aligned this way, I'll measure up my 25mm, I think it is, for a set of plasma clamps, and I can cut this one and then the clamps can go in there and hopefully they fit in alright and they're not too painful, and that'll be the piping at least routed anyway. So now it's time to start gluing this pipework together. I thought what I might do is try and add a tiny little bit of value to an otherwise pretty boring part of the video, which is just time-lapse me welding and stuff. What I thought I'd do is share my settings. Nothing secret, none of the settings ever are, but on this one right now I'm running 85 amps total. I've got the pedal set up so I can modulate as much or as little of that amperage as I want. I've got 130 on the frequency and 33% cleaning. I've got a pretty good post flow on this one. With the AC, when you're on TIG, you usually the tungsten will get pretty hot for, you know, and so as you come off the pedal, it's going to remain hot. You want the gas flow over that red hot tungsten, okay? You don't want to just shut the gas off straight away after you've finished welding. You want to use that gas to cool the tungsten down and keeps it protected. It stops you getting that yellow fuzz on the end of it. If you have done any aluminium welding and you're pretty new to it, you might be wondering what's this fuzz on the tungsten. It stops all that stuff. And also, as per normal, acetone wipe everything, all your parts again, acetone wipe your tungstens down, and then just get straight into gluing it together. I will add as well, guys, I'm using a fairly odd size filler actually. It's a 2mm 5356 filler rod. 2mm is a bit of an odd size. Usually you'll normally see 1.6 and 2.4s, so 5356 is what I normally use. Your other option, which I use sometimes, is your 4043. We've got the pink tungsten from Weld Porn, or I get my stuff from Oz Welding Supplies. This is a 2.4 and I've just sharpened it to a point, so that's what else I use as well. About 7 litres on the gas flow. I've got a gas lens on this one, size 7 cup. That's about it. So the pipes are glued up. Now it's time for some finishing touches. I've drilled this hole out here. This is a 1/8 NPT bung speed flow, and we'll put that one on there. This is the pipe that comes off the throttle body, so this is for intake air temp, and I've got another 3 to put on the hot side of the intercooler piping for wastegate reference, and I think maybe a pressure transducer. And I've got to do the blow-off valve on the cold side, and then we're done. And then one more fitting on the thermostat housing, and we'll ship this thing out. So, cold side is all fabricated and done, and now we've just got to do the blow-off valve. So we've got Blister, he's just rolled up for the first time in a long time.
Turn up when all the hard work's done.
That's it, so he's going to be my lovely assistant. Show the people where we're going to put it, because there's, when you put a bumper on this thing, there is no room. The bumper's all up through here, so really,
Yeah, we've had
the only spot we can really go is sort of right there, over the
there.
middle of that butt, so...
Oh. Port to be about that way, so
yeah, so we'll make sure it's nice and level that way. Glue it on there. We've got that to do, and
we've got to try and
yeah, have a look at this. Have a look at this. As if doing all this wasn't enough, I've got to try and
fit a dash 20 in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's gonna do that fitting up, bro.
Yeah. I'm just going to weld the fitting on, and Matt, let me know how you go with that. I'm pretty sure that thermostat housing is going to weld like shit too, because I've already cut it down and welded a bead on it before, because we had to shorten it from factory. So we'll see how that welds. I hope it welds okay, at least. From memory, it was an average cast that was real dirty. So we'll try and weld that, do those couple of fittings, and then that'll be it for this time round. So that's enough. Let's get into it.
Even the dogs are unimpressed, mate.
Oh, yeah.
She's tight. If anyone from Diggers is watching, you could save us about $18 a year by sponsoring us for acetone.
Not wanting to play the game.
Just out here admiring your handiwork, mate.
Yeah, mate. Dunsky.
Dunsky. Looks good.
Yep.
Looks real good. And we were just sort of discussing, considering just how much crap is in there, it doesn't look too overly cluttered. Like, I mean, you look under there and there's a whole bunch of like sensor ports and whatever, but it looks neat for what it is.
Underneath that, there's no free air. It's just solid.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you got oil cooler on this side, you got trans cooler on this side, you got fans for both of them, you've got obviously that giant intercooler piping, blow-off valve. There's a lot going on, dude.
There is meters and meters of hose and lines under here. It's crazy.
Yeah. Matt has done a great job of stuffing an entire Platinum Racing and Plazmaman and Turbo Smart catalog into this car.
Yeah.
Oh, and Motec as well. He's got all the Motec gear.
Yeah.
Insane.
That's it. So that's another one done and dusted. What this about the 4th intercooler piping job now. I'm starting to think that's all I can really do, and it might just be all I can do. But
You're starting to get good at it though.
oh yeah.
Starting to.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It's good.
Not bad for a rookie.
It's good enough for the bush. So yeah, that was good.
That's it. Oh well, we can't wait. This one's getting ever closer. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we might be able to be there when it meets the dyno. There's still a couple of small things to tie up, but not far off, eh?
Yeah, no, there's a few bits and bobs Matt will tie up, and then he'll ship it off to Shannon at TuneCorp.
Yep.
If we can get up there and have a look, we will, but if not, that's okay too. So
Because this is going to be a rowdy bit of kit.
yeah, it's different.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. If you want to support your boys, head to www.torqhub.com.au. Link is in the description. You can pick yourself up a sweet hoodie, one of them cool hats. We've also got stubby holders and stickers.
We got socks coming too.
Ooh, I wasn't going to let that out yet, but we do have socks coming. We'll be able to cover you from head to toe. If you're going to tell me that you're a fan of the channel but you ain't wearing the socks, then you need to lower your tone. Alright guys, that's it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.